All right, looks like it's starting up. Well, thanks, guys, man. I really appreciate this. Long time listener, first time interviewer. Um, yeah, man, we miss you guys, man. I keep telling you that every chance I get. What podcasters don't know, or maybe podcasters do know, you become like coworkers, right? So, like, I look forward to, like, you are a part of my routine, like every week, like when you're doing stuff, like especially like depending on where you're at, you don't want to talk to your coworkers, so it's like, oh, I'm talking to my real guys right now, so
Well,
just
thank you.
leave you alone.
We've 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 been around a long time. So when we first started out, we were doing sketch videos on YouTube, and we figured out early that we wanted to be a part of everyone's week. So, by hook or by crook, we were going to get a video out on a Monday so that once people got into work, they knew that like they had an It's the Real video waiting for them, right? And then that continued in everything that we did. We always wanted to do stuff with consistency and quality. And so, in launching a podcast, it becomes a routine. And it is like, I can't get through my, whatever it is, your Wednesday morning without this, or my Friday afternoon without this. And it's like, well, where is this podcast? So for 5 years, putting out content on a regular basis, totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of stuff out there still. Like, what I'm saying, like it's so much like, you get greedy as a listener. You just like, I want the new, but it's like the catalog of stuff is so much stuff. So like as I was getting ready for like just getting ready to talk to you guys, I was like, I can't even remember like how I found It's the Real. You know what I mean? Like it was like it's been that long, but it's like, how did this even like where did it, because I'm in Michigan, I live in Detroit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
like you're in New York and it's like their industry, but not really. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're famous to me, but they're not famous to everybody. You know what I mean? So it's not like you have this big like, yeah, everybody knows Eric and Jeff. If I say Eric and Jeff,
Well,
it's gonna be like I have friends that are named Eric and Jeff, so they'll
yeah.
yeah, them like no the real Eric and Jeff. You know what
I think for us too, like we get a kick out of the fact that we're like a lot of people's like, inside joke. It's like you're a part of a club that
I
like,
agree.
you know, we're not the biggest, entertainers out there, but there's a good amount of people who like, you know, take for instance, we did this Rockefeller show like 3 or 4 years ago, or whatever that was, here in New York, right? And we had people fly in from Germany and Alabama and Canada and all these different places, and it's like, what's the one thing that is sort of the common denominator there? And it's just like, hey, we all listen to this thing and we all like, these people, but it's more than that, because it's like we have a shared sensibility of the music we listen to and the type of humor that we have. And I think that's really dope. And what's a really cool thing is like, we went to London, we did a show, or if we're in LA and we do a show, or we're in Atlanta and do a show, people hang out afterwards, people who never even met each other before, and they stick around for hours, just like, chopping it up with us or other people they, just met. And I think that's the most like rewarding thing for us, that, you can make these introductions and have this commonality when that might not have existed in a world before.
Yeah, we all speak a language. Like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
the podcast is the language. So it's like it's people like, my friends that are like, did you listen to, like so we can all, like talk about it. So yeah, man. So yeah, we do miss you guys, appreciate it.
Oh,
But
thank you.
like I said, like the original, the real quarantine radio.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
right.
The real quarantine radio, that ended fast though. I was like, look at that. See, you try to steal and
Hmm.
I,
I think.
I think that the reason that he got canceled is probably because of us,
Hmm. Hmm.
not
Yeah.
because of violent acts against Black women, but either
Whatever.
or. Yeah.
Whatever.
it worked
I
out.
do have to say, man, it's crazy to look back and be like, wow, that was 1 year ago. A year ago that we came back from Miami, we were down there for business, and we were like looking around the plane. We're like, well, something's feeling a little more serious than maybe we were hip to. And we were like, we got back to our place and we're like, oh, this whole thing, this whole business plan, this whole routine that we have of inviting people over to our apartment to spend an hour and a half conversation plus the time that people like just hang out afterwards. We're like, can't do that anymore. And we totally flipped that format. But I'll say this, and a lot of people loved it. It was fun for us to do. It was a lot of work to do. But having done that, it felt like we accomplished something really cool. And then we could focus on other projects that were rewarding to us in other ways. And I think that like that's what the pandemic has really allowed us to do. And we hate the fact that it happened, but like for us to take advantage of being stuck in a place and living in a new way, I think that it's had a semi-positive outcome.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to say, I have questions, but like with
Yeah,
podcasts,
yeah,
it becomes more like it's just conversations.
yeah.
But like I can't tweet it enough, right? But that was insane. You know what I'm saying? Like the days, it was like this is hours and hours of content, let alone like editing and just like the strength of having the connections. Granted, everybody was available to an extent, but
Mm-hmm.
wanting to talk to, you know what I'm saying, like people. They didn't, you even though we all kind of were at home for a time, you didn't want to talk to everybody. And it was like
Yeah.
what that did at that time, you can't even like monetize that. Like what it did and like because we didn't know what we were we still don't know like
Yeah.
what we're in, but it was like every day, man. It was like I can count on Eric and Jeff. Let me just see who Eric and Jeff are going to talk to today and like what that did. And we're just like, it made the days easier. Like it was the perfect distraction from like, is my throat swelling up? Like, you know what I mean? Like, cause the first couple weeks we all went through like, oh my gosh, I feel too warm. Like, what is, what is this? It's so,
Like what a crazy time. Sorry, like what a crazy time to like where you live for, however long we've been around for, and everything is sort of like under your control to some extent. Like there is a world out there that continues to move as it did the day before. And then this thing happens and it's just like, what do you do? Like it was as much like a service for everybody that we were listening to and talking to, but also like for ourselves, because it's just like, how do we pass the time? Like, what could we possibly do to stay sane? And like those phone calls, calling up 3 friends a day, it mattered so much for us because it was just like, otherwise, I mean, I guess I would be just inside, just freaking out. Like, it was such a necessary thing to do at such a crazy time, and like to look back at it, it's just sort of mind blowing. Yes, it was a lot of work, but it was just like that really saved us from probably going crazy in a different way.
And that's not to say we didn't go crazy because like, and Jeff and I have spoken about this between ourselves too. We're just like, oh, when we had Chromeo and DJ Clark Kent on, so this is like the third episode of Quarantine Radio.
Mhm.
We were recording and Jeff and I both looked at each other and didn't say anything because we were recording, right? And we're listening to a phone call, but like both of us started to feel like we were getting a fever, and both of us were like, "Oh, I have
Yeah.
COVID," right? And it's like we need to like speed this up and get this through. And so we went to there's an urgent care 4 or 5 blocks from here, and we went there, and they're like, "You guys are okay. You're just being a little neurotic," and we're like, "Yeah, that's what we do. That's us, right?"
But totally needed to hear that in that moment because otherwise it was just like, Eric and I were to like so sure. We were
Yeah.
so sure that we were like about to die.
Yeah.
but that he did that to us. You know what I mean? And so it was
Yeah.
like, the way that it all ramped up. And so like I said, I'm in Detroit, so we're in Michigan. Michigan and New York are parallel to like, well, not even intersecting. Oh, how did you know? I'm in
Yeah.
Detroit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like they keep telling us all this stuff like, oh, your numbers are out of control, this and that. So you're like, is it outside? Is it like allergies? Is it just gonna come in my house? And so we all were kind of just like, man, what is this thing? And so like now, like I'm teaching now. And so we have in-person learning. And so this week we kind of had like a couple of cases. And so, everybody's on edge. Like,
Yeah, I
like,
remember speaking with Chuck English, right? And he was just like, "Oh man, Detroit's just not in a good place right now." And you got relatives who are getting it every single day. And then, you know, thank God that we've made it to this point, right? We're a year later and we're all still here and we know a lot more. So it's like, hopefully there's a way to move forward with this thing in terms of like, it's out there, it's going to keep going for a while, but if you walk around and operate in a certain way that's smart, we can continue to sort of like, end this thing.
Well, okay, I just want to clarify something. Eric said that, we all know more. I would say about half this country knows more. I would say half this country is still in a very dumb place and
Yeah,
getting
yeah, but
dumber.
I mean that like the information is out there, not that people are receiving it.
yeah,
No, but
Because
it's
like,
crazy because like the
last year,
information is there and the misinformation.
yeah, last year it was really like a complete mystery. Like I remember, we all remember you heard about it, but it was just like we've heard about a bunch of things. Because I know, like you're closer, we're all closer to the same age. So we've seen everything essentially. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we're 100-year-old people now. Because
yeah,
we've like, oh, SARS, yeah, we beat that.
right.
We beat
Yeah,
the Twin
yeah,
Towers, we beat that. Man,
yeah, yeah,
what day of the week is it? And then now it's like, yeah, COVID-19. So we're like, oh, whatever. And everything went normal until just one day. And like, so
Yeah.
for us, ironically, it was March 13th, was
hmm
313
yep, yeah, 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 yeah,
we
yep,
all, you know what I'm saying? It was like, no, nothing's the same. Like, this is the
yeah.
last day that you just do things. And we just went, now everything has changed forever. But I mean, hope everything will get better. It has to get worse before it gets better is what they always say. But
Yeah,
whatever.
I got a quick question.
Go
This
ahead.
is very random, but did Ludacris, mention the 313 in area codes?
Yeah,
Okay, good,
Had to.
good.
he had to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He had
yeah.
to.
Just wanted to make sure.
It was
Yeah.
probably subtle. It was more like the 313. And
Love it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
all right, but some of the questions. So we kind of went into it because you talked about how you started up back in a long time ago.
It's a nice way to put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 You did that. You did succeed that way, man. Some of the big things, random things I wanted to talk about. This art collection that's in the house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you don't showcase it enough. It's like if you know, you know. Some people are just like, I'm just in awe because we got a house last year. And my wife is all into gold frames. I'm like, how did Eric and Jeff get all these gold frames? Like, it's because it's tough. Like, it's not even
Yeah.
easy to find. Like, find gold
Yeah.
frames. It's like, how did they get all these gold frames? But the actual art that's in there, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, Jonathan Mannion, and
Yeah.
you have like Lenny S pieces, and they
Yeah.
don't even probably think of these things as pieces as much as
Yeah.
that you make them look great. So let's just
Thank
talk
you.
about how you decided to be like, this is our art. Like, you made art, things that we just looked at in magazines. We didn't think
Yeah.
of as art when we were kids, but
Yeah.
now when you put it in a frame, like this stuff changes. Like,
Um,
how
yeah.
did that begin?
So for a long time, so Jeff and I moved into the city and we moved into an apartment that was 3 bedrooms and 2 baths, but it was shaped in an odd way where like there wasn't a lot of usable wall space. And so we moved to a newer place 2 years ago, and the ceilings are higher, the space is like better designed. And we walked in and, we had this podcast going, we had people coming over, and we thought to ourselves, well, we have this big living room with a lot of usable wall space. We should, finally decorate it. Where all these years we spent in an apartment that was, had bare walls, now we're going to do something where it's like when a person walks into our living room, they should be able to be like, oh, these are the people who live here. Like, I get what their interests are. I get what they're about. And that's why we have all those books out there. And we have like, memorabilia, like Cameron cereal, or like, French Montana, mac and cheese box. And then we were like, all right, what do we want to put on the wall that we haven't this whole time? And we really went for the stuff that meant the most to us. And we got hooked up with a photographer named Clay Patrick McBride. And he was hooked up to us through a friend, and he's a big time photographer, and he happened to take the photo that I love the most. And I had emailed him years ago and been like, hey, there's this picture that you took of Jay-Z and Kanye West as JFK and RFK, this black and white photo, the two of them dressed in these like 1960s suits, and you got this bright light behind them, so they're almost silhouetted, and it's just a beautiful photograph. And he, years ago, emailed me back and was like, it's this price. And I was like, that is insane. So I'll never get that photograph, and it'll never be possible. So we had him on the, here's the trick. Here's
Can you share the price?
At that time, I could look it up. Let me look it up.
I mean, it was in the thousands. Like it was
definitely in the thousands.
Or
yeah, it was a lot of money. Yeah.
Was that the first NFT?
Yes, it was the first NFT.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how you have to explain things to kids these days. It's like, what is a like, it's like, vinyl
it's an
records
NFT that you put on your wall.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just insane, and nothing that I could ever afford. And so the trick is to get someone on your podcast and become friends with them. But what happened was we did, and we had him on the podcast, and he was like, yeah, like, let me get you, this at a cheaper price. And I was like, I can't say no to this. And let me really like actually buy what I wanted this whole time at a reasonable price. And he was like, you know what? Because I like you guys so much, I'm going to give you an even bigger print of this. And he did. And
I think the order went around the other way, by the way. I'm pretty sure that Eric had already gotten it, because I think he was here when Clay Patrick McBride came over. But I do think that he was like, I do remember him saying for the locks piece that we got from him, he gave us that at a discount after he'd done the podcast. But Eric had already bought the first piece.
Yeah. And, it's signed. And it means so much. You look at that thing and it's like, I can't believe I have this on my wall. And at that point, then it's like, well, we got some other stuff, and, we're paying a reasonable price for rent every month. It's like, let's go and get these properly framed. So a friend hooked us up with a guy down in Brooklyn, and this is like a 45-minute train ride to go get these things framed, and then a 45-minute ride back, right? And you got that giant, frame like under your arm as you're taking this train back. But, we would go down there and we would just get everything framed. And one day, Lenny S., who's become a great friend of ours, came over and was like, why don't you have any of my stuff on the wall? And he's like, all right. And we're like, yeah, okay. Like how does that even happen, right? Like,
yeah, but also like, it's a funny thing, because it's like, who cares about being on our wall? But it's like, when Mannion came over, he was like, how come like none of my like actual things are on the wall? Or like when Ray VB was like, I want to be like, it became like a thing. But to finish your story, sorry.
No, all good. And Lenny one day texted us and was like, who are your guys' top 5? And we're like, and this happened right around the time when there was a podcast out of like Cleveland that said that Joe Budden was the best rapper of all time. Yeah. And we were like, does this have to do with that? And he's like, no, I'm just curious what it is. So it's like, all right. I sent over my top 5. Jeff sent over his top 5. I gave like conditions. I was just like, maybe 5 years ago it wouldn't be like this, and not to say that, whatever. And you list all these things. And one day, a month later, Lenny texted us and was like, yo, guys, you home? I'll come by. We're like, sure, yeah, come through. He came through and he had an IKEA bag, so one of those giant blue bags, and he walks in and he's like Carrot Top, right? He was just like, all right, who said UGK? And I was like, me? And he was like, hold on. And so he goes and he rummages in the bag and takes out a picture of of Pimp C, Bun B, and Jay-Z from the Big Pimpin' shoot. And we're like, what? Framed. And he's like, all right, who said,
Who said Lil
like,
Wayne? And it's
yeah,
like, and so then he pulls out a Lil Wayne, and then he pulls out
a Drake, and he pulls
yeah.
out, all this stuff. And we're just like, what is this? And he was just like, there's an appreciation there, and there's a love there. And the fact that, and he was like, he's like, I know you guys love Nipsey. I love Nipsey. And here's a family and friends Nipsey print. And that one was one that we were like, you know what? That one deserves to be in a gold frame. Lenny does everything gold in the gold room. And so we went to our guy down in Brooklyn, and we had that one put into the gold frame right there. And I do want to say there's other stuff on the wall that is taken by our grandfather, that's taken by, Johnny Nunez, Jonathan Mannion. There's a calendar from Japan that our grandparents went and got. And like, we wanted to make sure, like I said, you walk into that room, you know exactly who lives in this room. Because, it could be generic, like if we had some poster up there like that had no meaning to us and our experience, like what does it matter? But that these things actually tell our story, that's the best
Also,
thing.
by the way, Marcus, I'm gonna show you one thing that nobody sees, which is I wanted this picture from 1998. I reached out to the artist, and so it's George Costanza. But our aunt came over, and we just moved in. Our aunt came over, and she was just like, "Is that Dick Cheney?" It was such a bummer.
She didn't get it. Yeah, man. So another thing, just like in general, like with business, relationships are important. And like you guys have what it appears, you know what I'm saying? Just to kind of, you just told this story, and that's off of the strength of just relationships. But like, how, are you surprised at like sometimes because you guys moved to New York, and you're just hip hop fans too, like you know what I'm saying, like what's the most surprising relationship that you have like in hip hop because you grew up as fans and you're like, yeah, this is my guy, like I text him, you know what I'm saying, like
I mean,
there's a lot of those, I think that
I
it's
think
a
the
very
Lox one is
weird
crazy, like
I mean, because the Lox one is crazy because it's like and I say this every time, I'm like, I'm always surprised that Jadakiss knows my name. Like, and I've said that to him, like it's a wild thing to like they don't have a group text without us. Like it's a weird and crazy and real relationship. Like Styles hit us up. I like to tweet about shitty hip hop DX headlines because I think that hip hop DX is such a crazy website. They'll write about anything. Like they'll write about how Bone Thugs and Harmony ran into Nas at a Best Buy, and like that's a headline. And so like Styles texted, he was like, "This is the funniest thread ever," and so we have like.
But Styles was like, I needed that laugh. This was after DMX died, and he was just like, I needed that laugh, and it's like, that's wild to me, Like I think the same with like Bun, being one of our very close friends. I think Currency, like there was one day when I think this is after the Grammys when Jermaine Dupri bigged him up for his song, and Nas was wearing a Jet Life jacket, and after he won the Grammy for best rap album of the year, and I just called Currency. It was like 9:00 in the morning. I just called. Jeff and I had stuff to do, but I was like, hold on. I called Currency and I was just like, yo, I just wanted to big you up for like all this stuff. And he was like, yo, he's like, and this is what he said, and it's crazy. He was just like, he's like, first of all, he was like, I'm not even high, but I feel high, right? And he was like, first Jermaine does this thing, then Nas does this thing, and he's like, and then you call me. And he was like, so I knew this had to be something good. And like all I was doing was just to call my friend and tell him like, this is great and I'm so proud of you. And knowing his story, how he's built, independently and stuck to his guns, and now it's paying off. And that meant the world to me. It wasn't like, yo, I need a favor, or yo, I need this. It was just like, this is just, hey, I'm calling my friend. congratulations. And he's like, yo, this started my day off just right. And I think like all of this, Lenny S, Bun
Yeah,
B,
but also I mean like
Currency.
there's a lot of people like behind the scenes that it's really meaningful. Like, you know, I think that we've built a really great community, or like stumbled into, or whatever the word is. Like we've lucked into or worked our way into having a really great group of friends, just quality people. So I don't know. I remember we went to somebody's birthday years ago, and this is like we had just like come onto the scene, um, and it was a room that was like a lot of heavy hitters, you know, people, and it was just like a heavy hitters, and then like us, and we were like, how did we end up here? And I think it was Miss Info. Is that right? Or was it
Sure.
Angie? It was one of them. And
Might have
Eric was like, how did,
been before.
and
It might. I think it was info, if I remember, because
Mm-hmm,
oh,
mm-hmm.
you've heard, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think it was
And it
info.
was like, how do we end up in
Long
this
time
room?
ago.
And it's like,
Long
yeah,
time ago.
yeah.
Yeah,
But it was
yeah.
like good people hanging around good people, and it was just like that's a, you know, bad people hang around bad people, and so like luckily we've ended up amongst the good people.
Yeah, it's just great. Like again, like this is more like a flowers thing. So this is like a sober champs, not a drink champ. So I want to make sure I gave you your flowers just because it's like in the
Thank
whole
you.
like the whole cloud chasing world, like you guys still come across genuine, remain genuine, like even from just like the whole engagement piece. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you guys are always like, oh, I don't think it's been a tweet or anything that you haven't, you know what I'm saying, like responded to, like if it was positive or, you know what I'm saying, like from the nah for reals or to the shout outs to all of that stuff. And just how like everybody feels like everybody that listens to It's the Real, we all feel like we're a part of It's the Real.
I
So
hope so.
like
I do. I think, and thank you. I think that like, I said that I tweeted this yesterday. I was just like, man, I love seeing our friends shine, you know, and that goes to, you know, people that were, you know, supportive of our work who we didn't know, who have become like close friends, to people who are, you know, like people who we see in real life who succeed. I mean, I was saying this the other day that I think that there's it's like, yeah, we all want money to eat and to have a roof over our heads and to, you know, travel, or, you know, things that money goes towards. But also like, I think the reward is having these relationships and this access, and to be able to like, you know, smile at the end of the day knowing that your people are winning. Like that's the most meaningful thing, I think, to us, and I'm sure a lot of people out there. And I'm just glad that, like, you know, people see that. That's dope.
so I can't, I have to ask this question.
Yeah.
Is the podcast coming back? I have, people are depending on me to ask that question, so I
Yeah.
can't do it. I could not do
Um,
it here.
which podcast?
A waste of time. I'm
So I think that I'm not saying that it's over. I think that right now Eric and I are just working on a bigger project, and
not,
so it's
that's
like,
a follow-up question, Jeff.
yeah.
I was you guys know that you know how it's coming. So
Yeah. So
I want to say this. I want to say that like I'm very glad that through our whole career, and that's a lot of stuff, right? We're talking like 14 years of content. Now we're talking YouTube videos to start off, the absurdist interviews that we did for MTV and Bonnaroo and all the other places, Miss Info and everywhere, the music, the live shows, the everything that we've done. Two Jews and two black dudes. I'm very glad that however long something has gone on, people have been like, I want more. You know, we have not overstayed our welcome. There's a lot of stuff that we've been working on over the last 9 months that I think is going to satisfy a lot of people's calls for It's the Real content. And I think the thing to say is really, you will really, really, really be proud of what we've been doing for 3/4 of a year. Like there's something about, I get it, like being out there every week and, you know, making sure that like our voice is heard and our social media is active and all that. But we did fall back with purpose. And we're really excited about taking the time to make sure that this thing is right, you know?
Yeah, and
Yeah, like,
you built the brand.
sorry,
Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
no, it's a tough thing with the Zoom, you know. But so I, you know, Eric and I have put out content pretty much weekly for like 14 years. So it's a very weird thing to step back and like do something bigger than that, you know, to really like put like this much work into something. I've never worked this hard on anything. So it's a very different experience, and I'm looking forward to like, you know, actually sharing it with everybody. But like at the moment, it's just like it's a wild, you know, you know, next to me I have a 6 foot by 4 foot board that like catalogs what everything looks like that we've been working on. And it's just like, it's a crazy thing to be like, it's so much bigger than an episode of our sketch videos. It's so much bigger than a waste of time. It's so much bigger than Two Jews and Two Black Jews. Like those are very like instant things. I don't know. It's a very satisfying thing to like sit back and work on something for this long.
So is that a series, maybe? Is that what we?
I don't know.
All
Yeah.
right. Because the thing, you know, like we know, like we just want to make sure we're able to support. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like
Thank you.
as a family, like we're a family, so like we just want to make sure we blow our guys up. So like we knew
Thank you.
once you announced the break, because it's like
Yeah.
you guys are the currency of content. You know what I mean?
Thank
So
you.
it's like it's too many projects, it's too much product to even try to like rank like what is the best of anything. So it was
Thank
like
you. Well, I do want to say this too, which is that I think that, you know, we've, like I said, we've never done something for too long, but we always try to be ahead of the curve too. So like, I'm glad too that in a world where there's a zillion podcasts, that like people do miss our voice on a regular basis. We don't take that for granted, and we are doing something that is going to stick out. I think you know, it's funny. We were early in doing YouTube videos. We were early in doing, you know, podcasting. We were early in doing all this stuff. We're I think right on time with something that's going to be pretty significant. So we're working.
can't wait, man. And so it's for my people who like support me. So on the podcast, I have like this evolution of the podcast thing. So I started the podcast like in 2013. One of my good friends, we called it From Scratch, where people would come on, tell their stories from scratch to now. But from there, one of the favorites is this thing I have called From Scratch 5. All right. So the From Scratch 5, I just throw out a topic, a question, and you basically, you know, rank the five. I won't bore you with the top 5 MCs, right? So, you know, just to make it interesting, because I want you to think here. All right. So
Yep.
here, um, as it's the real the artist now, what is your top 5 features that you've had?
Oh
Oh,
man.
like that we've gotten.
Yeah, top
Okay.
features that you've gotten as it's the real the artist.
Okay. Okay. Uh, I I want to give some that we got. Like, okay. So I want to say Bun B is number one. I mean, it has to be, right? Like Girls with the Dirty Souths. Like, how do you like, he gave the okay to do that and then shoot a music video and like do it, perform it live, like crazy. Um, you know, I could say Freeway meant a lot to us. I could say Currency meant a lot to us. I'm gonna say Currency and Smoke Dizza together because like they're on one song, but I'm gonna give you one that's a little like off the beaten trail, which is Melanie Fiona gave us one that we never put out, and that was one where we wrote her stuff, and our partner Greg Mayo, who does all our music, you
Shout out to
know,
Greg Mayo. Shout out
big
Greg.
shout out to Greg. He sent over the stems, and she hit us back not just with like doing everything that Greg did, and I'm talking like layers, like 10 different tracks of Melanie Fiona singing beautifully, but she made it even better than we thought, and we're just sitting on it. Like we're just sitting on it. We have it. So I don't know. Oh, also, I'll give you some that are coming up, like the Locks. Like every time, like Jada's like, when are we doing another song? Or like, you know, like they're ready to do it. You got any, Jeff, that stick out to you?
I mean, the Jazz Cartier one was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was done in person. I mean, like obviously you've heard the Currency story. The Smoke Dizzle one was really cool because like to see him do it in the studio, like off top, that was just like very, you know, like it's sort of the same way that Jay did it in Fade to Black, where it's just like there is no there's nothing written, and then it's just there.
Yeah.
Other ones,
I mean, I'll say this too. Having the Lil Jon vocals,
yep.
and he says it's the real in a very Lil Jon way, and it's like this should be my voicemail. Like, you know, like it's just like that's a nice flex, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Another one. All right. So From Scratch 5. From Scratch 5. What is your favorite 5 albums? Make it interesting. 5 albums from last year.
Oh God.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't know if I listened to any albums last year.
Oh man.
no, you know what though?
I did.
I mean,
I like the I liked Jay Worthy, Currency.
the Currency and Harry Fraud one, the Outrunners is a big time one for me. Chromeo,
You guys put me on Jay Worthy. And
Jay Worthy's fire.
I've been listening to London Drugs
Mm-hmm.
like all this year specifically, like religiously. Like I'm sorry.
Chromeo, yeah, no, Chromeo put out an album that was specific to the pandemic, right? And it was called Quarantine Casanova, and that's a great album, you know, in or out of the quarantine. I know that um, Smoke Dizza put out a really good project last year.
Oh, he
There's an
definitely
awesome,
put out good projects. That's
yeah. Smoke Dizza, man, great project. Jeff, what are you thinking?
Well, so I mean, like my thing about last year is that I spent so much time listening to old music.
Oh my God, here we
Like I
go.
know, no, like
give
I
them to me.
listened.
Give them to me though. What was
Yeah,
your 5 for last year then?
from last, like I'm saying that. Well, first of all, I'm not an album guy.
Okay.
Oh my
So
God,
I'm also like I know I'm screwing up the entire
all
premise
the
of this thing.
excuses. Yeah,
This is
yeah.
what they're gonna love this. Everybody's gonna love
No,
this.
But like
Jeff, you're getting
so
us in trouble.
yeah, sorry. But yeah, so like I was big into like Willie Hutch. I was big into like the Spinners and Sister Sledge and a lot of like 70s stuff, like
Philly.
filling in gaps that like I didn't. It's like I have a very good understanding of deep, you know, Philly soul and like the OJs and Chicago soul and stuff like, you know, 70s soul, 60s soul. I would go through phases of like, I read an 800-page book about the Beatles. So I listened to like all the Beatles stuff, and then and this is all stuff that I have like a good understanding of, but like then going off of that and listening to like, you know, 1978 cocaine music from like Bob Seger from Detroit or whatever. You know, like it's just like I was all over the place, but listening to a lot of like older stuff, a lot of like old hip hop. I went through like a birth of hip hop sort of phase, 80s, you know, stuff like that.
Okay, that is all true, and I definitely, did a lot of the same. We lived together, so there's a lot of crossover stuff there. I do want to say that last year, it's been such a long year, but last year, 2020, Jadakiss put out his album Ignatius, and fantastic album, like still great album. Styles P put out his album that we are on, called uh, what is it? It's called
What was
Oh,
that?
Styles
Styles Your
David.
Enthusiasm.
It's not Styles Your Enthusiasm, is it?
It
I think
was.
so.
I'm gonna look it up. Yeah, but it was fantastic. Oh, it's called Ghost Your Enthusiasm,
Ghost Your
right?
Enthusiasm. How's that
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
plug?
And
Couldn't
we're
remember the
and
name.
we're on
Yeah.
there, and we're on
Yep.
there. Uh, I want to say Dom Kennedy's album is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And there's just a lot of stuff that we listen to.
I mean, like right now, like I also okay. So there's two things. One, I have a very bad memory, and two, I this isn't last year, but I do love the new Young Thug Slime Language 2, which just came out. So there's my that I know that again does not answer the question in any way,
Right.
but I'm giving you a
Yeah.
new answer to a new
Not
question.
in 2020.
Yeah.
Even that's something, Jeff. That's all we want, Jeff. Now, in spirit of a waste of time with It's the Real. For this From Scratch 5, give me 5 episodes that people should listen to.
Oh my God.
The illustrious
Okay.
catalog of a waste of time. 5. Let's go. Eric is ready. I'm gonna give you time.
Okay.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Marcia St. Hubert, and I mentioned that one because she's a great friend of ours, and it happened 3 years ago today. Saw that we had pictures on this anniversary. So Marcia St. Hubert, she is a senior vice president of marketing at Atlantic Records. You know her stuff from Cardi B, from Mano, from T.I., from Wiz
Lupe.
Khalifa, from
Lupe.
Fiasco, a whole lot of people. Jill Scott. She's just a genius, and it's a fantastic episode. Marcia St. Hubert. Mano is another incredible episode. It was one of the first ones where we were like, let's really like dive into someone's entire life, and boy, has he lived, and he's lived a number of lives. I want to say Mike Posner, for a lot of people who obviously there's that that Midwest connection right there, but like Mike Posner is like the complete roller coaster story. It's somebody who people believed in, then they gave up on him, then they believed in him again, and fought through a lot of stuff, and is very, very unique. So I'd say him. So Marcia St. Hubert, Mano, Mike Posner. I would say the Cameron one is pretty great. I think that's a big topic right now because he did a fantastic episode of Drink Champs, and people really like that one. And I think ours is a really nice. Thank you. Ours works very well with theirs. Different approach, but Cameron's a great one. And I will also say, I'm going back and forth. Oh man, I mean, there's so many, but like, you know what? I'll say Dennis Graham. Okay, I could have gone with Rick Ross or Jeezy. I'm going to say Dennis Graham. That one meant a lot to us. Going out to his house in Calabasas, treating him like a musician, like a entertainer, like a human being other than Drake's dad, which was really, really important to us. So those are my 5 picks right there.
Okay, first of all, it is nuts that Eric didn't mention the Rockefeller episode.
Well, that's by itself. It's by itself.
I was going to mention.
But I would say that one. I would say the Birdman and Juvenile one, which was incredible for a number of reasons. One of which was that Birdman did not walk out. And also, I mean, like, he was asking about like our bar mitzvahs and stuff. Like, it was just like a crazy experience and amazing. And I can't get over that. I think we caught a run towards the end of like last year. No, you want to know what? Kevin Gates was really great. I would say Kevin Gates. I would say Ibrahim Hamad from Dreamville's story is amazing. The Mac Miller one is a very popular one that people still listen to. I think that's 4. And then did you say Jeezy or Rick Ross?
No,
I would say, which one's better?
the
I only have one
Ross one,
spot.
I would say the
You
Rick.
think
I would
Rick
say the
Ross?
Rick Ross one, yeah, because Rick
Yeah.
Ross gave it. You know, like he gave it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, so Ross also has like a bigger personality, so it's like a
Yeah.
more fun thing. But the funny thing about Jeezy is that he was so happy with the interview that he brought his people down to Atlanta and played it for them in his house because he was like, this is what I want all my interviews to sound like. And so like I think that one's like, it's a very meaningful one for me. Is I mean, like, even though Ross showing up by himself and staying for, you know, an hour and a half or whatever on the night of his release, he was releasing something. And so like that was, I mean, like it's all crazy. But yeah, I would say probably the Ross one.
Yeah, and I would just a bonus is our 250th episode features our mom, and I think that gives you a really good insight into who we are.
Yeah.
So that was really special for us too.
Yeah, my random ones are the unsung heroes. Like I love all the behind the scenes people. For 20 years, Emmanuel, just hearing the name and then actually like, whoa, and then you know, like she's still around doing this stuff. I had loved the Sherry B one.
It's a great episode.
Oh, you love the Rockefeller one.
Don't get me started about that one. That was like again, I know we're around the same age. I know what Rockefeller means. So I was just like, dog, I couldn't even imagine like even conducting this one. Like as much as like, because having these people there and like that's one for sure I listened to a bunch of times. I love the Parks one too, just because
Parks one was really good.
It shed a lot of light on him.
Yeah.
Also, very tall drink of water. That guy didn't expect that. The Sycamore one's really good too.
Sycamore one is really good.
Like I said, it's so many. These are ones that are just like, you know, like because these people, this is like probably the only time they talked, or you know, it's like when they came to talk to you guys, which is back to the strength of relationships, and people are like, you know, like you're not, and you guys don't beg people and like just reaching out to people, and they're just like, no, I gotta do this solid for Eric and Jeff. Because they're not asking me for like anything but conversation.
I mean, we did beg to get Miss Tina.
Hold on,
Knowles
Jeff. Hold on. I was gonna be like, do you want a top 5 people that we almost got?
That's a good one.
Oh, please, yes.
Okay. Yeah, like Jeff just said, it was about a 2-year conversation to try to get Miss Tina Knowles on the podcast. Like there were so many times that we were like ready to fly out to make that happen. Shaquille O'Neal is somebody that we almost got, and that picture, Jeff just wanted it to be like,
it was going to be just Shaq and then the top of like, oh no, was it going to be the other way around?
I think it was going to be like he was out of frame. So it was just like, it starts with his neck and it goes down like us, you know, like that. There were people like, I mean,
Clyde Frazier.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, Clyde Frazier, but like Fat Joe was supposed to happen a number of times. Like we saw him like on our block one day, like we ran him down. Like there was a lot of stuff. The Questlove thing, like full episodes. Questlove thing was supposed to happen a million times. There was oh man.
Have you lost it?
Sorry?
Have you lost any episodes?
I wouldn't say we lost them. I mean, there are ones that we deleted.
Okay.
Like the Corday one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Corday. Yeah.
There was another one. Oh, Issa Rae almost happened. That was going to be like
for a full episode.
Yeah.
And then, you know, for Quarantine Radio, like a lot of these people, because like you said, they were home, they were available by phone, we made those happen there. So Questlove and Fat Joe and Issa Rae. But like there were, man, We worked very hard to get a George Clooney one. We
Wow.
worked very hard to get Matt Damon, Tina Fey, even though she lives like, you know, on the Upper West
Mere
Side, like
blocks.
never happened. Man,
But
the
yeah,
emails
but
that,
those ones didn't come. I mean, like that's not like we had like scheduled something. There were like some other ones though. I'm trying to
oh,
think what
DJ
else.
Mustard, Irv Gotti, like all these people were supposed to come and then canceled like the day of. Okay, we've never told anybody this.
Oh,
Okay, this legit may be like jaw dropping. We went down to Atlanta and we went down to Atlanta and we got young baby Tate on the podcast. And
Oh
we
right.
recorded in a legendary studio in Atlanta. So we were going to include this as part of our 12 days of podcasts for 2019 or something like that. Again, the most professional, like legendary studio down there, like everybody used it, right? And so they send us the audio back, and I sound great, and Tate sounds great, and Jeff sounds like he's underwater, right? It is like horrible. We just could not like fathom what the hell happened. So we're like, all right, we have to save this. So we went up to Mayo's studio and we sat down and Jeff re-recorded his entire part of the podcast, laughs, reactions, everything. So he sits in the booth and we're out there, we're just like, do it again. Or like, you know, like laugh bigger. And like Jeff has his headphones on, just like seething angry that he has to be like asking these questions. And Mayo made it sound like we were all in the same room and the same like, and it sounds perfect. No one knows that. They don't even know that.
shout
They don't
out
even
Yeah.
know that. Yeah.
the unsung
But
hero.
and we never spoke about it because we're just like, who cares? It is a lot of work for free and there's no payoff other than people listen to it and they're just like, hey, great. I'm glad I heard her story. So there you go.
Man. Yeah, that Jeff, man.
You know, I mean, yeah, they were like, you know, like laugh longer, and it's like,
Yeah.
Serious already, so that's why Eric. You should have recorded this part just for the It's the Real story. Like,
Oh my God.
I know he's
It's
gonna go, you know, like because he's hilarious.
yeah.
He'll be like, no, laugh harder.
Yeah. No one's ever gonna listen to that and know any wiser. So
Shout out Mayo, man. That's
oh, big shout out to man.
yeah.
some wizardry for that, man.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I won't hold you guys too much. I won't hold you too long. I really, really appreciate this. Like this made my year. You know,
Oh,
so this is great, man. Again, we can't wait. You know, I think I can speak for all of my friends and the rest of the It's the Realers. We can't wait to blow up whatever this next project is. Whenever you press the button, we're locked in. You know what I'm saying? It's the Real Hive.
thank you.
Sure, we'll make it go crazy. This will be a proud to pay campaign whenever you know what I'm saying? Like
Marcus, I want to say this. Like, I think that what we appreciate most is the fact that you know, again, this is 14 years of just, you know, doing something essentially like out of passion, right? A passion project. And it's just like none of these things have been like the big windfall that I think like everyone, you know, hopes for, you know, but what means the most to us is the fact that you know, you're here getting a kick out of just talking to us, you know, reliving old times and appreciating the work that we put in. And we're just like, we've never met in person. You know, you're in the middle of the country. These are, you know, very strange times that we're all going through, but we made this conversation happen. And there's something there that like connects all of us, whether it's the Rockefeller stuff, whether it's the appreciation for like a story like Parks or like a Big Face Gary or a Shari Bryant or whoever.
Or Quap Dad or whoever, yeah.
Quap Dad, yeah, young baby Tate. And I think that, you know, we appreciate the fact that like you do support like this and there's no, you know, there's nothing else other than an appreciation on both sides right here. And, you know, that you took the time to like listen back to stuff and to like care and like shout us out on social media. Like that's all love. And like for real, like we're working on stuff that I think is going to last. And that's the point. And I think if you've said anything today that like, you know, shows us, you know, the lasting legacy of what we do, it's that like, yeah, you can go back and listen to old episodes of the podcast or watch old videos or listen to old music or like look back to the Rockefeller thing and appreciate that. And listen, we love Detroit. We're trying to make it out there. We got a lot of people up there that we want to go see. We're trying to bring 2 Jews and 2 Black dudes on the road and go up there and do that. Believe me. And listen, I mean, I know Jeff feels the exact same way, but we just appreciate the fact that like, you know, our art carries on and lasts. So thank you for showing that love.
Yeah, Marcus, just before we go, you know, you're from Detroit, and if you could just do me one favor, could you just pronounce the brand of shirt that you're wearing?
Carhartt.
Carhartt.
Respectfully, I'm a transplant Detroiter. So I did the move. So I'm from Flint. So I grew up, born and raised in Flint, and I made it to Detroit. So I'm here.
Hey man,
here
I hope you listened to the Dallas Martin episode.
That's my guy. We were in driver's training together.
What?
Me and Dallas, we were. So again, he's been into rap. So again, we're kids from Flint, the Midwest, like, right? We were driver's training partners in the same driver's training car, like,
crazy.
You know, and so like this like 99, maybe 98, 99. So we're in the car, we're trying to sneak CDs in there because driver's training, you can't have it. So like me and him every day, we're talking about, you know, it had to be 98 because this was the summer of Nori.
Yeah.
We're like the only ones who really care. So me and him hit it off because of that. And we played basketball, and he went to Central, I went to Northern. So like, you know, like, yeah, Dallas is my guy. Like he good.
That's dope.
Good dude. So we all, you know, we still had the same type of friends. I haven't seen him in forever. You know what I mean? Because he went to school, and like I stayed to school in Michigan. He went to school in Atlanta, and then,
Atlanta, yeah.
You know, he's famous now. So
yeah. He's doing his thing, you know.
Yeah.
Co-president of Asylum right now. I mean,
great to see, man. So I'm proud of him, happy for him. But of course, man, I blew that one up. You know, I let everybody know. You know, like this is like, but how small the world is. We were in driver's training together.
Very.
Was he good at driving?
He was.
Okay.
I think he was illegally driving before. You know. What I'm
saying?
He had to go. You know, to I feel like he was driving to driver's training, but don't quote me on that part. But he may have been driving to driver's training. But yeah,
listen, man.
Very, very
no judgment. No judgment. Yeah. Listen, man.
Yeah,
thank you for this. Thank you.
Yeah, really, thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you. I appreciate you, man. Before we go, all right, because I have my AKA. Can we get an AKA out of here? I'll do mine first because I'm the host and you guys are the guests. So this is all right. So it's Curve Gotti, AKA Murdered Ink, AKA Broken Pens.
I'm gonna go with because we are all family here. I'm gonna go. Yo, what up? It's Eric, aka Brooks Brothers, aka Family Ties.
Yo, what up? It's Jeff, aka Shooter Boy in Blue, aka Papa Smurf.
Thank you guys, man. Enjoy the what day is this? Saturday. Enjoy the Saturday.
It doesn't matter. All the days are the same.
Be safe, man. Wash your hands, wear your mask. As I tell my kids every weekend, man, be good out there, and thank you.
Thank you sincerely, Marcus. Have a great rest of your weekend. All right. And we'll see you soon, all right?
We'll do.
All right, peace.
Peace.